Hey guys, it's Ankit Kumar and welcome back to the 100 JavaScript interview questions and answers part 2. If you are preparing for front-end developer interview, web developer interview, Node.js developer interview, or any interview which has JavaScript or TypeScript, you must know these 100 JavaScript interview questions and answers. If you have missed part 1 of 100 JavaScript interview questions and answers, please find link from the description box below and watch it. So without wasting time, let's get started for the interview questions of JavaScript. Our next question is question number 21. If you are wondering where are earlier 20 questions, those are in part 1. Please find link from the description box below and go through the 20 questions of JavaScript from the part 1. How to remove duplicates from an array? There are several possible ways of eliminating duplicates from an array or removing duplicates from an array. Here in this video, we are going to see 3 most used ways of removing duplicates from array. So first one is using filter. It is possible to remove duplicates from an array in JavaScript by applying filter to the same. To call filter method, 3 arguments are required. These are namely array, current element, and the index. So let's see by the example. Suppose we have array languages. We can clearly see that Dart is duplicated here. So we need to write a function with any name. I'm using unique array and passing array to it. Now I'm applying filter function on that array. So when we do index is equal to self.index of element is current element, it returns index of current element. After filter complete, we need to return unique array, which was assigned to unique array variable. When we call this function unique array and pass array which has duplicate languages, which was having Dart duplicated, this line will print on console JavaScript, Dart, Kotlin, Java, Swift. You can see that Dart is eliminated from the array, from the resultant array. Second method of removing duplicates from array is using loop. In this method of removing duplicate elements from an array, an empty array is used for storing all the repeatings. Let's see code for this example. We have same array language which has Dart duplicated. Passing this language array to the function, we have an empty array unique and we are running for each loop on each element of language array. What we are doing, if not unique I, then unique I is true. Then return object.keys of unique. When we log this function with the language array, it print on the console same as using filter. You can see clearly it has eliminated duplication of Dart from the resultant array. Third way of removing duplicate from an array is using set. This is my favorite and the simplest approach of removing duplicate elements from an array. A set is an inbuilt object for storing unique values in an array. Let's see by example how it removes. You can notice that instead of array, we have set. Dart is duplicated here as well. When we do array from set, it returns unique array from that set already defined, and when we print unique array, it prints same thing: JavaScript, Dart, Kotlin, Java, Swift. So it has eliminated Dart from the resultant array. Our next question is how to check if a value is an array or not. Very easy but very important question for the interviews. And the answer is, we can check if a value is an array by using Array.isArray method. It is available from the array global object. It returns the true value when parameter passes it to an array, otherwise false. Let's understand this by few examples. If we console log Array.isArray 5, it clearly logs false because 5 is not an array. If we check isArray for a string, it logs false. If we check isArray for empty, it returns false. If we check isArray for null, it returns false because null is also not an array. If we check isArray for an object, it returns false. If we check isArray for array, it returns true and console log logs true because this is an array. Whether it has a value inside it or not, but it is an array. If your environment does not support this method or isArray method, you can use polyfill implementation as well to check if a variable is an array or not. And how it looks? It looks like you can write a function isArray which accept value, and you can do return object.prototype.toString.call value equal to object array. If this function return true, then your value is array. If this function return false, then your value is not an array. Next question in the series is, please implement Array.prototype.map method by hand. And the answer is MDN description for the Array.prototype.map method. The map method creates a new array with the result of calling a provided function on every element in the calling array. The syntax of map method or Array.prototype.map method is this. And it returns element for new array after executing something, and that something is being defined by us. Now let's understand how to implement this method without using library or without using Array.prototype library. To implement this, we have written a function which accepts array and callback. First of all, you need to check if the parameter passed are right or not. If any of these is true, then we return empty. Else, create a variable result and we push the result of map callback in the result array. Then we return result, which is an array. That's how we apply it. Next question is, please implement Array.prototype.filter method by hand. To understand this, first we need to understand what is filter method. So as MDN description of the Array.prototype.filter method, filter method create a new array with all elements that pass the test implemented by the provided function. So this is the syntax of filter method of the Array.prototype library. It returns element for new array if true. Let's now see how we can implement it ourselves. If we write a function which accepts array and a callback, first of all we check whether all elements or all the parameters passed are right or not. If element is passed is not an array and or it is empty array or the callback is not a function, then we return empty result from this function. Else we create empty array called result. Then we check if the return value of the filter callback is true or true. If the value of filter callback is true, then we push the current item in the result array which we created just now if the condition is true, and then we return the result. That's how we implement filter method by ourselves. Next question is, implement Array.prototype.reduce method by hand. As per MDN description, reduce method execute a reducer function that you provide on each element of the array, resulting in a single output. The reducer functions takes the 4 arguments, which are accumulator, current value, current index, and source array. And the syntax of reduce method is this. So array.reduce, it accept callback which accept 4 arguments. Let's see how we can implement it by ourselves. We write a function and we check all the parameters are right or not. If any of these condition is not matching, we return empty. First array item as the initial value, start looping at index 1 if there is no initial value has been passed to the function, else we start it at 0 if there is any initial value. Then for every iteration we assign the result of reduce callback to the variable value and we return the value. That's how we implement reduce. Next question is, what is the name function in JavaScript? And the answer is, a named function declares a name as soon as it is defined. It can be defined using function keyword as this. Next question is, can you assign an anonymous function to a variable and pass it to as an argument to the another function? Answer is yes. An anonymous function can be assigned to a variable. It can also be passed as an argument to another function. By looking at example, if we say let show is equal to function which is anonymous function and it does something inside, here it is just logging anonymous function. So this line is actually assigning an anonymous function to a variable. Now it has become a variable. If we want to call it, we can just call it as a function. And if we want to pass it to the another function, then we can pass this variable to another function as well. Next question is, what is the argument object? And the answer is, the argument object is a collection of parameter values passed in a function. It is an array-like object because it has a length property and we can access individual values using array indexing notation. But it does not have built-in methods in an array, example for each, reduce, filter or map, because it's not an actual array, it's just an object. It helps us know the number of arguments passed in a function. Next question is, can you convert argument object into an array? And the answer is yes. We can convert argument object into an array using Array.prototype.slice method. So what we do, we just call Array.prototype.slice.call and pass all the arguments in it. Then all these arguments will be converted into an array. Next question is, does arguments object work on ES6 arrow functions? And answer is no. The argument object does not work on ES6 arrow functions. Let's take a code example for this. If we say function 1 return arguments, then function 2 return arguments, then function 3 return arguments. These are normal functions which are returning argument and works perfectly. If we do same thing with the arrow function like const for arrow function return argument, and when we call it, the for function or the arrow function throws an error. It says argument is not defined. We can solve this problem if your environment supports the REST index. This puts all the parameters in an array automatically. Next question is, how to create an object without prototype? And the answer is yes, we can create an object without a prototype using object.create method. Here are some examples. If we say object1 is equal to empty and we console log object1.toString, it logs object get this method to object.prototype. Or 2, if we say object.create null, the first parameter is the prototype of the object, which is in this case will be null, specifying we don't want any prototypes. If we log object2.string, then it throws an error, or 2.toString is not a function. Next question is, what are the scope of a variable in JavaScript? And answer is, the scope of a variable is the region of your program in which it is defined. JavaScript has two kinds of scopes. One is global scope or a global variable. A global variable has a global scope, which means it is visible everywhere in your JavaScript code. Second one is local variable. A local variable will be visible only within the function where it is being defined. Function parameters are always local to that function. Next question is, what is the purpose of this keyword in JavaScript? And answer is, JavaScript, this keyword refers to the object it belongs to. This has different values depending on where it is used. If it is used in a method, then this refers to the owner object. If it is used in a function, then this refers to the global object. Next question is, what is callback in JavaScript? And the answer is, a callback is a plain JavaScript function passed to some method as an argument or an option. It is a function that is to be executed after another function has finished executing, hence the name callback. In JavaScript, functions are objects. So function can take function as an argument and can be written by another functions. Next question is, how does typeof operator works in JavaScript? And the answer is, the typeof operator is used to get the data type of its operand. The operand can be either a literal or a data structure such as a variable or a function or an object. It is unary operator that is placed before its single operand, which can be of any type. Its value is a string indicating that data type of the operand. Next question is, explain equality in JavaScript. And the answer is, JavaScript has both strict and type converting comparisons. Strict comparisons means triple equal checks for the value equality without allowing coercion. Abstract comparison means double equal check for the value equality with coercion allowed. Let's take an example to understand this. If we say where A is string 42 and where B is number 42. If we do abstract comparison, which is double equal, if A equal to B, it returns true because it checks only equality of value with coercion allowed. If we check strict comparison, which is triple equal, it returns false because it checks data type of value with value as well. The equality in JavaScript has some rules. Let's see some simple equality rules. If either value or side in comparison could be the true or false value, then avoid double equal and use triple equal. If either value in comparison could be of these specific values, means 0, empty or empty array, then avoid double equal and use triple equal. In all other case, use double equal or abstract equality. Not only it is safe, but in many cases it simplifies your code in a way that improves readability. Next question is, what is the difference between double equal and triple equal? Or what is the difference between abstract equality and strict equality? And answer is, double equal is the abstract equality operator while triple equal is the strict equality operator. The double equal operator will compare for equality after doing any necessary type conversion. The triple equal operator will not do type conversion, so if values are not of same type, triple equal or strict equality operator will simply return false. When we use double equal or abstract equal, funky things can happen, such as if we say 1 of int equal to 1 of string, it returns true. If we say 1 of int equal to first element of array, it returns true because it does type conversion and it take 1 equal to 1, same as 1 equal to 1. 1 equal to true, it returns true because logical value of true is 1. So it type convert boolean to 1 and it check 1. If we say 0 equal to empty, it's return true. If we say 0 equal to 0 string, it returns true. If we say 0 equal to false, it returns true. So beware of using double equal or triple equal wherever it is necessary. The next question is, what is ECMAScript or what is ES? And answer is, ECMAScript is a standard for making scripting languages, which means that JavaScript follows the specification changes in ECMAScript standard because it is the blueprint of JavaScript. ECMAScript is standardized by the ECMA International Standard Organization in the ECMA 262 and ECMA 402 specifications. To know more about ECMAScript, please find link from the description box below. Next question is, what are the new features in ES6 or ECMAScript 2015? There are many new features in ECMAScript 2015 or ES6. Some most used features are arrow functions, classes, template strings, enhanced object literals, object destructuring, promises, generators, modules, symbols, proxies, sets, default function parameters, rest and spread, block scoping with let and const. Last question of the video but not of the series is, what does use strict do? And answer is, use strict is a ES5 feature in JavaScript that makes our code in strict mode in function or entire script. It helps us to avoid bugs early on in our code and add restrictions to it. Let us look on some of the restrictions that strict mode gives us. First one is assigning or accessing variable that is not declared yet. It does like this. Function return a, use strict a equal to 3245 return a. Second restriction is assigning a value to a read-only or non-writable global variable, which is use strict where nan is equal to nan, where undefined is equal to undefined, where infinity and beyond. Next one is deleting an undeletable property. Use strict const object empty object object.define property object x value is equal to 1 and then delete object.x. Next is duplicate parameter names. So we can use strict function some function name a b b c. Next is creating variables with the use of eval function. Please note that eval functions are not available in latest JavaScript. So use strict eval where x equal to 1. Console log x throws and reference error x is not defined. The default value of this will be undefined. So use strict function show me this return this. Show me this returns undefined because this is not defined. That's all for this video guys. If you found this video useful and It might help you in future interviews. Please press thumbs up, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to get notified about more videos on interview questions from Tech Talks. If you have any question, feedback, or any suggestions to improve my next video, please write down below in the comment box. Thank you.